So over the past month, there's been a lot of new information circulating about Forza Horizon 6. We had the developer direct in January, as well as some new small things that have lately really engaged the hype for Forza Horizon 6 coming out later this year. However, alongside all of that hype, there's also been a noticeable increase of incorrect information and outright misinformation about the game. Things like false car leaks, supposed map features, and even claims about mechanics that haven't even appeared in any information at all. I just want to give a quick shout out to AR12 and Pexi for helping bring more attention to this topic. I think it's something we kind of need to be more aware of as a community. Misinformation around Horizon 6 is not new, by the way. Last year was probably the worst. Before we had any sort of official announcements or teasers or anything, people just chasing clicks by claiming they had insider information. Back then, it was a lot easier to brush off because we knew very little. Speculation was expected, but now that we're getting into the real details, misinformation can start to have a bigger impact. You may be wondering, why does this matter? Well, I guess the problem with misinformation can shape expectations that were never set in the first place. When people start believing features are confirmed when they aren't, it can lead to disappointment, unnecessary negativity, and even a loss of trust within the community. It shifts the conversation away from what the game actually is and instead towards what people thought it was gonna be. And when hype is built on inaccurate information, it almost always leads to frustration later on, not because the game did anything wrong, but because expectations were kind of distorted along the way. Now, I want to be clear, speculation and excitement are a huge part of pre-game culture, and they're fun. I enjoy it. The issue isn't on speculation itself, though. The issue is when speculation starts being presented as confirmed information. It's very easy for an idea or a concept to get repeated enough times that it starts to actually sound official, especially when it's shown with convincing editing or framed confidently, A great example of good speculation done right is Pexi's map videos. He never claimed his maps are official. He's very clear that he's working from the limited information that we already have and building thoughtful speculation around it of how he thinks the map will look. That distinction is really important. He's creating discussion while presenting speculation as a fact, and that is a big difference. And honestly, shout out to Pexi. I really enjoy his Horizon 6 map videos. Go watch them if you haven't, so keep it up if you ever see this. Now, I just wanted to share a couple of these examples that I did find. It was pretty easy to find, which is probably not good. And I've blurred the names just because I don't think it's generally the person behind these channels or these posts. Maybe they're made with sort of misinformation themselves, and they kind of released it without knowing. I don't know. I'm not going to dive into that. But the first one here is a pretty reputable source of a general video games news outlet with over 1 million Facebook followers and multi-million on YouTube. And he has said that this new Forza Horizon 6 map revealed. The new Forza Horizon 6 map will be the entirety of Japan. Yes, that means this will be the biggest map in video game history. No, it won't be the biggest in video game history. I don't really know where you got the idea of that. Games like Flight Simulator and Minecraft do exist. Maybe he meant racing game history, but come on, for a channel with over 20 million subscribers, I'd expect you to proofread these details. As of recording this, there is no proof of also being able to cruise up Mount Fuji. It may come true, but we just have absolutely no proof of while I'm recording this, so... Surprisingly, the only little piece of information that is actually correct is that you can actually just drive around the streets of Tokyo, which was pretty obvious. You may notice this image here as well, which comes from this Reddit post stating a concept map by another Reddit user who's been deleted, but the keyword being concept, I feel like is proof enough that this post is just blatant misinformation. And it's gotten some traction too, which is a bit worrying. Another pretty dodgy example here is a quite obvious use of clickbait in order to bait the user to click and watch. None of these cars here are actually confirmed. Not even the R34. You can just tell this is a pretty sloppy AI job. If you want confirmed cars, just go to the FH6 car list. It's an actual site that's official and updated by the developers pretty regularly. There's cars here. I'd like to see them in the game. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure they'll be actually pretty fun. and I'm sure like some of them will be in. Like I'm 99% sure that the R34 GTR will be in the game. But like I said, as of recording this, just none of this has been confirmed. Like, we don't know this. I actually watched a bit of this video as well, and the amount of cars that are just not confirmed is kind of crazy. Like, for example, this Alpina B12, that's not confirmed. I can't remember if we have had it in previous games, but it's not in the car list anywhere here. Not even under BMW either. Next with this RX-7, unfortunately, that's not confirmed yet. I'm sure that's going to come to the game. It probably will, but we don't know. Like, it's not confirmed. This S2000, that's not confirmed. No evidence of this. I don't know where he's getting this. This, whatever the fuck this is, Nissan Safiro, there's no evidence of this yet either. No mention, no dev files. There's just nothing. I'm just curious where he got this from. R34, as we said, is not confirmed. He says as well, we saw it in the dev direct in 4K. I'm not sure where we got that from, unless we watched the same dev direct. No, we didn't. What else? No S13 Sylvia. There's the S14 ones, unless you got that confused, but there's no 1990 one. And there's absolutely no Chevrolet confirmed. So I just kind of want to make this video just to kind of help in guiding. Just be careful when finding new information on this game. I also am quite excited, but I'm also just taking everything with a grain of salt. I would say at least most content creators about Forza Horizon 6 would be basing their information off credible sources and would be like obviously correct, and they have reason to back up. And you can even find stuff from like the actual devs themselves from that video, and also they're releasing new information on Twitter nowadays. I personally am only ever going to cover information that comes from reputable sources, and like I said, I'm sure most people do. Anyway, this is not my usual type of video. I'm going to release one shortly about the new map details that I'm pretty excited about. That come from an official source, don't worry. But yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know, just a bit of awareness. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. See ya.